Howdy everybody, and welcome back to the Champion Forge Season 3, Episode number 11. My name is Kenneth, alongside my two wonderful hosts. Let's start with Caster Exodus. Caster Exodus, what are we going to be up to today, since we are coming in with an idea rather than a completely blank slate?
Okay, so, well, we normally don't come in with a completely blank slate, but for today, we are inspiring some new hope in our audience. Wow, that is one of the worst jokes I ever did. Because we are making a character based on the wonderful character from the late Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia. I'm still not sure how we're gonna do this, because beforehand, the three of us said, Princess Leia, what does she actually do in the movie? And I was kind of, she does a lot of stuff, but at the same time, she also doesn't. So we're gonna definitely have some other random number generation to see exactly what she does. Before I do the rest of the intro, I just want to say to the audience that we want 3 D10 rolls during the rest of the introduction, and that is a D10 for mobility, a D10 for aggressiveness, and a D10 for a particular play style. Now, obviously, to draw our fantastic Princess Leia, we have Roger here today as well.
Good evening, good day, good morning, I don't know, something.
Energy drink tells it all.
Yes, there is no time zone when you have energy drink. No, so I am Roger. Hi. I will be trying to, merge all the fantastic outfits Leia has brought to the table, or people will have brought to her, and she has given them life. She's giving me life, definitely. And I'm gonna try to, incorporate the fancy hairstyles, the fabulous cloaks she had in the late movies, the kind of basic but, very, lightweight outfits, something like that. We're gonna see what we're ending up with.
One of them was made of metal, so I would say, I don't know how lightweight that metal was, but just putting it out there.
Damn. And we're already getting some comments about it. Suppose we may as well address this before I go too much further. Yes, Roger's eyes may look a little different than you're used to, gentle chat.
And that is on taking makeup off with clean wipes, okay? So I have, for not using more cotton swabs and being environmental friendly. Wash the washcloth. Wash it regularly. Wash it with hot water, or else you're gonna get pink eye like I did. So.
Well, Uranus and 30, thank you for coming by the stream. So as we said, we're going to be trying to do a champion based on a character who's mostly known for being a diplomat. Of course, we've got the sort of the side angle. So I know Leia did spend a reasonable amount of time running around shooting people with a blaster. So that's not completely off the table. We have some kind of aggressive play. I don't know if there's a mechanic for watching your home planet get blown up, but I guess we could fit that in as well.
Maybe she takes, she takes a furious thing like that and, trying to destroy the Empire, because they destroyed her planet. Maybe that could be something more offensive from her.
She has she's really good at getting motivation. So her entire planet is destroyed. Pretty good motivation to me to try and overthrow the Empire.
That's true. I suppose maybe the larger part of Leia's existence in Star Wars is more as a general than it is as a politician.
That's fair. I mean, at a certain point she does in the new trilogy, which is unfortunately is canon. She does command the rebel forces. I think she even does in the original trilogy. I'm not that much of a Star Wars nerd, so please correct me if I'm wrong on that one. So she's more of a leader than she's a diplomat, actually, throughout the series.
I can't remember. I think
she was raised to be a diplomat, right?
Yes, I think her dad was King of Alderaan. I want to say.
Yeah, the senator.
Yes, he was a senator, wasn't he?
It's weird because how are you a senator if you have a princess as a daughter?
I guess they were. Yeah, it's weird. I presume it's because they were both. They were presumably a king and also a senator. But yeah. So I guess that's the potential. In that case, we have got 2 kind of different ideas at play. So Princess Leia the general, Princess Leia the theoretical diplomat who didn't get very much time to really affect diplomacy because she kind of got on the run fairly quickly. But in terms of general characters, if that's the one which is maybe a little bit more, you know, a bit more meat on the bones, there aren't really very many general characters I can think of as, oh, Exodus has gone on the roam. Where's he gone? Oh, he's come back in. Phew.
I'm here, no worries.
So, Exodus, Roger, can you think of... I know there are people who are theoretically generals. Swain is the one that jumps to mind immediately. Though, their only real sort of generally part of their kit is that they function well with other people's abilities, and they provide intel for their team. And I guess that's the closest you kind of get to them being generally E. Can you think of any other ones?
Do you mean... Okay, do you mean within League? Do you mean within pop culture? Or do you mean, like, IRL?
Oh, no, I mean probably a League to start with, and if we need to expand out to us, if we absolutely can.
Doesn't Kled have, like... Sorry, I'm just leading, but doesn't Kled have, like, a plethora of titles?
Theoretically?
Isn't he a major somewhere, or... I'm just gonna quickly look at it.
I think he's got a military rank. I don't know if that really plays... Well, I suppose, let's see. Okay, we're going to have to stretch here.
Yeah.
Because the fact that you've gone to Kled, who's just sort of nominally military, is a good indication that the idea of a sort of leader archetype isn't terrifically well explored in League of Legends.
Not really. Okay, so... Sir, Prince, Cavalier, Archduke, Lord, Double Earl, Sergeant Major,
Double
Kled.
Earl?
Yeah, Double Earl. I don't...
Bless
yeah.
you? What?
Amazing. So, okay, so let's see. So what makes them kind of military? So Kled has got a team-wide enabling ability. So that's the charge, if I remember my terms correctly. So that is sort of generally in terms of it's specifically there to enable a team. And Swain has a kit that relies somewhat on others.
Because Swain's kit is, and that is what I kind of like. Swain's kit is very, if there's a team fight going on, I'm going to be useful, or at least I can be useful enough to justify picking Swain. But if there's no team fight going on, Swain is pretty, like, as a character, Swain doesn't really do a lot.
No, he doesn't.
So that is something we can maybe, like an angle we can look into where we say, hey, maybe this is a character where you actually have to rely a lot on your team.
I like that idea as well. So let's put that under the general type. So team reliance, I guess team enabling would be the kind of
Team enabling, I think, is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most straightforward way to go. Is that the general is there? It's not there to fight for the troops. They are there to enable the troops to be more than what they would be without that general being there.
Because you don't want to, as a general, you don't want to be surprised all of a sudden and have a Jedi jump from the sky.
I mean, I'm waiting for the General Grievous impressions to start rolling in. So do we have any other characters in League of Legends that sort of, I guess, support characters?
I think, because when I'm looking at purely based on what you could define as a military rank, I think Garen has one, Darius has one.
They are very...
Jarvan is technically a king, but like a fantasy, like a medieval kind of
I think Jarvan
stuff.
is fair. Like, Jarvan, it's more than just a sort of background element for him. He does plant the flag and kind of, again, it is enabling the team around them. Though Jarvan's flag planting has never really been...
Actually, I
the
kind of
major
like...
part.
I kind of like how they... Now that I think about it, I think Jarvan is maybe something we should consider because he's very much a, yes, I am strong on my own type of guy, but he's very much a team enabler as well. And he does kind of lead the troops because when Jarvan goes in, you follow because he just has such a good engage.
I did always think with Jarvan that, like, while the flag planting part is sort of central to his kit, I'd almost forgotten it was a flag specifically, even though you know, it's called the Flag and Drag. It doesn't really play up the flag part very much. It's a very small flag, and it's not. Also, the flag itself is not like destroyable or anything. It's not like something you focus on. It's really,
No, true.
It's really just part of the drag mechanic. They could take out the flag entirely, really, and just make that a telegraph dash, and it would work mostly the same way.
I do kind of like the idea though, where it is a character where, like, I think something similar like with a Malphite. There is, it doesn't really have to be engaged, but there is a form, there's just an ability or a playstyle where if somebody goes in, that person has a leader position. Because if you pick Jarvan, or if somebody in your team picks Jarvan, you kind of expect that person to know how to engage. Because that's kind of what that particular character does. When you're picking Jarvan, you kind of go, okay, you need to be the engaged. We also trust you that you know how and when to engage. That's maybe something where we, a sort of, how would you call this? Almost a sort of dogma with the champion, where you say, if you pick this champion, that is something you need to realize. You need to know how to engage. Because we're going to give you engage.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the thing I'm getting from that is that there's the combo potential there with Jarvan. That, yeah, you've got, it works very well in combination with other stuff where, again, it's more than the sum of its parts. The hot tub of the Cataclysm combined with, Brand dropping down his damage as well, and all that kind of stuff. So I think if we're going to build a general character, we probably need to do something similar where there are certain types of abilities that they can make more reliable or just function differently because of that difference.
I'm thinking of I was thinking, okay, what are certain roles in a game that don't really have an engage in them? I was thinking, is there an ADC that has an engage or that defines the engagement? I think Sivir is the only one, even though I think besides Sivir, maybe Varus is the only carrier where you can say if Varus ult, you can engage and as the rest of the team.
So yes, that's a good point actually. So Sivir with the mass team move speed. So for Sivir, that's attack or retreat. So something like that, I can imagine, could work very well for a general star character where you kind of enable your team to make a tactical maneuver.
Yes. That's kind of cool, where you as a character, for example, can say, this might actually be an ability of a sort, where you can just say, hey, I give you movement speed either towards or from the enemy. In essence, if you want to engage, but you give them the disengage movement speed, then, well, people will complain you're hindering your team because you're not doing the engage right, yada, yada, yada. But it's also, well, that's the order from the general. I kind of like that idea, where it's a general order.
That's a good ability name.
Order from the general.
Like
Ooh, actually, I didn't think of it.
That is very epic.
All right, let's slot that in.
Yeah.
Orders from the general.
So whether you like it or not, your team is probably gonna do one of the two. Yeah, cool.
So generally speaking, if we're talking about sort of standard game design, that kind of stuff tends to be you are rewarded if you go along with it rather than you are punished if you don't. Just because it's such an obnoxious thing to have someone else be able to, like, troll you who's on your team.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if...
Imagine someone trolling on your own team.
Yeah. No. Imagine if it's if you have an ability, I'll give you movement speed, but if you don't follow me, you get slowed. We're not gonna do that because that's massively hindering, and the trolling potential is quite high because you can literally kill your entire team.
The trolling potential is strong with this one.
let's put trolling in as a potential.
The trolling potential is strong with this one.
The lack of your lack of trolling potential is disturbing.
Okay, this is going pretty off base from the concept we started with, which is supposed to be a respectable general. What about a really...
No. You respect the general. The general doesn't respect you. That is something that you are taught in the army day one.
What about an indecisive general?
No, she's
I had
very
the
decisive.
idea of, like, we're talking about the attack and retreat orders. What if that's one ability, and that you can give someone an attack order, and then it switches to a retreat order for the next cast of the ability, giving them like movement speed back towards you, and you cast them on different people to try and control the flow of the team fight as it goes.
So it's almost a very bipolar ability, or
Yeah,
it's
no,
Oh
exactly.
damn.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. So basically, it's you have two stances then as a general. It's as Leia the general. It's either you're attacking or either you're retreating. There's no in between.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys are up for that, then I think that's a neat idea.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds conceptually like Vesperquin. Who's Vesperquin?
Who is Vesperquin? It's
Oh.
a Pokemon.
Oh, it's a Pokemon.
I'm
What does the Pokemon
Never
do?
watched Pokemon.
never same. I never. That's the one thing I never got into Pokemon. I was always the guy who was into everything but Pokemon. Don't ask me why.
Okay, well, Happy, could you explain what Vesperquin does? 'Cause I remember actually looking at Vesperquin when I was thinking about casting Pokemon Unite and realizing that the best it should be like Vesperqueen, but I think there was a translation problem, so it was Vesperquin. But anyway,
Nice.
orders from the general. So yes, we've got attack speed. So target gains move speed towards enemies. Let's say short range. And retreat. Target gains move speed towards not Leia.
Yeah.
Like the character name, not Leia.
Yeah, we
Not
need a,
Leia.
Just like every
don't-
week.
I guess we need a good working title because we definitely don't have one right now.
I think the general's a good working title.
She evolves from female
Oh.
combis. Always strong, independent women. Women! Women!
Whammon.
Strong and independent women.
Okay, so Happy saying basically this idea is done on that Pokemon where I've seen these are two different moves for them, but attack order and heal order, which attack and heal. But okay, I think the idea of alternating moves which then have different functionality is really, I think that gets the general flavoring in quite well immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yes. Let's see. Yeah, the charge and retreat idea. I think that would be really interesting.
She could also I was also thinking of the idea that she kind of puts down a zone as an ability. She puts down a zone, and in a particular zone you get extra resistances, or basically it's sort of a safe space. So
Negotiation space, you know?
yeah, or something along or like yeah, or reconcile your forces or something along those lines, where it's hey, when we're being attacked or whatever, when we're being dove, or when we know we're just gonna get engaged on, this is something that gives us that little bit of extra protection. You know, this is our headquarters. This is where we wanna.
It's so cool. Imagine you're like running for someone, you're right, and then you just like put on the safe zone, then they can't attack you because it's the safe zone.
Exactly. The thing is, if, for example, you're with the two of them in there, you're also kind of stuck. Because you've created a safe space, but you're also letting yourself be surrounded.
What would you call that term for like a negotiation tent or something?
You mean a parlay?
Negotiation tent.
Yeah,
Parlay?
everyone
parlay.
loves
Who
parlay.
invented it? That would be the French. Quoting Little Jack Sparrow here.
I would say a parlay or a. I don't think there must like with 1,000 years of, or let's say 500 years of medieval warfare. There must certainly be a name for that, right? A term where you say this is a specific negotiating spot where there's like a white truce going on.
Okay.
Let's
So I
see.
like that idea. So that's basically like a lamb's respite kind of idea. Maybe okay, so maybe what it is, it's a space where nobody can auto attack.
Hold on, negotiating. Space.
I'm sure someone in the chat's going to have an idea of what we can call this, but I guess more importantly, the actual ability itself. So
Yeah.
it sounds a little bit like with the Equinox from from Soraka, it also sounds a fair bit like a smoke screen.
Yeah, or like Shen's safe space zone where you can just say no auto attacks in here. Or just maybe something as simple as if you're standing within this particular area, you just get resistances. That is really something. Okay, if you're in that area, they're literally bunkered in.
So maybe well, at that point, it's a cool ability idea. I think we need to figure out where on the kit it is in terms of how expansive of an idea we want to make it. Like, if it's, if we're talking about something like set up an HQ, then that could be maybe an ultimate. Whereas if it's more like a kind of negotiation space, then that's more of a regular ability.
Is she supposed to be a solo laner or support or something? We're not actually
That's a
sure.
good question.
She does feel a little bit like a support, but to be fair, maybe you can say, actually, maybe this is a champion where you say this is a champion that you pick when you're 100% a shot caller. Because I don't
think based on the
Also,
ability
just
so
because she
far-
feels like a supporter, right? Like, I've had a Nasus support and that worked too. So, who are we to say what lane
Fair.
she's gonna be played on?
It does seem like the most obvious way to take her is a support, because then she could use this orders idea from the beginning of the game.
What if she was an
that's kind of got
ADC
into idea.
and all her commands function like Aphelios's guns? Okay, so let me rephrase it and see if I'm explaining what you're trying to say, Happy. So basically, you mean when you do have an ability, when you press an ability, that ability will have a certain characteristic that is, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but that it has a clear purpose. For example, with Aphelios, I have my AoE gun, meaning I definitely want to fight somewhere in the Dragon or Baron pit. That's ideal where you want to fight. So you can say this particular ability, when you're fighting with it, has something that is very much, okay, now we, this is the order from him general. Now we attack head on, or now we retreat. Something along those lines?
What about the idea of that she gains a auto attack effect based on her last used ability, so that she's issuing orders, she's doing it by firing her gun in the air, and it kind of like it's doing sort of different colored smoke or something.
I think Rito is trying to implement new kinds of ADC champs. I like the idea. I've seen so somebody who I do a queue with says that she plays a lot of Zeri support, and I kind of like the idea where they said, hey, let's make an ADC support, or let's give something a support lane where it's yeah, this is a cool champ, but supports aren't just either you just do some damage, or you just have a lot of utility. There is a sort of playstyle in between where you can actually say, I don't need to farm, but I like to fight. So I like to fight, but I'm not in a particular lane. I like to fight and help people at the same time. Senna's another example for that. Yeah, kind of. Senna's kind of like, I like to fight as well, but I'm also at the same time helping my team.
All right, well, let me pitch this idea then. So that when she uses orders from the general, when she does the attack order, she equips like a variant gun. This is the most over-the-top way of explaining this, but she equips a variant gun that does more damage at close, at long ranges, maybe.
Okay, we need to be careful here, because one of the things one of the pitfalls that can happen right now is I think we originally had the idea of this is a general type character. This is, while I'm not against Happy's idea at all, we need to make sure that the playstyle fits with that team. I don't mind doing an ADC, maybe an ADC another time. I also don't mind doing ADC now, but I just want to make sure that, okay, you make an ADC, but at the same time, is it then an ADC that it does actually fit the general playstyle, where you have, I want to make the order, I want to say I attack, or I want to say I retreat, or this is kind of I'm dictating what our next move is going to be.
Well, let's maybe come back to this. Go and play. That's what I was thinking as well. Like the smoke gun.
Yeah.
That was the kind of idea I was thinking as well, that to have a visual indicator that that there's something different going on there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So I don't know if this makes sense this way round. But the kind of idea I had there is maybe the gun. Oh yeah, so maybe what's happened is she fires a particular kind of ammo in the air, and then her next shot does something slightly different. For it.
Okay.
So if it's the attack order, then she's presumably running towards people, but she's still at the back of the pack. This is why I was thinking it does more damage at longer range. Whereas the retreat order, people are running towards her, so it would make sense for it to be the shorter range.
It could be something as, because I want to see how do you differentiate between attack and retreat. It could be something as simple as after an ability, if you click on an ally, then it's a retreat order. If you click on an enemy, it's an attack order. I think that's something that is very much within her kit.
Oh, well, no, so I was thinking the idea would be it's one ability that alternates backwards and forwards. So when you've used attack, it becomes retreat, presumably with its own cooldown. But the next time you cast it, it's then retreat and it reverts back to attack again. So you've got kind of ebb and flow of that. You don't always have the right one at the right time, but you've got to keep track of where everybody else is in this fight. You have to be like, okay, I know I'm going to have to issue a retreat order to this person, but also send this other person forwards at the same time.
Oh, okay. And so basically you want to. So this kind of does fit a lot within a team where you are sort of dictating the battle because you're giving specific buffs to certain champions. So for example, you could say, okay, this tank that has done the initial engage is now quite low, so I give that particular person a retreat order, so they're able to get to safety and actually survive the team fight. But at the same time, I'm also giving, let's say, the bruiser is pretty fat, an attack order.
Yes.
Are you forced to carry out her orders? Ooh, that is actually an interesting one. Where it's, do you get punished if you don't?
Well, I think we had this discussion already of saying we probably wanted to try and avoid actively punishing people. Happy did have a good point as well. Azir is another one which is actually a very good example of the general idea, in that they have their own troops that they use exclusively for their own kit, and they don't use their teammates. And that's the big difference. Sabring's own troops. That's the big difference here, is that we're making a character who is not independent of their team. They have to use their team. But what would being forced to carry out her orders look like? Because currently we've got it so that you just get a bonus move speed and possibly something else when you move. If you've been told to attack and she presumably like fires next to your head or something, I don't know, then you can go faster towards the enemy, but you're not slower to go away.
No. So you don't get a debuff from not following the orders. Is just that you either don't use the buff effectively, or it has no effect. For example, with the move speed, if you have an attack, or if you get an attack order and you're running away, well, you don't have an effect, which is fine. It's just that, that kind of sucks for you.
So there's a couple of concerns here, which is firstly, how low of a cooldown should the Q be? So should you be, it's all the way from being it's something you use once a fight and you kind of need to queue up your Q and make sure you've got the right one coming into a fight, or the complete opposite way, which is that you cast it as fast as you possibly can and you're just cycling continuously through it?
I think this is something that you can definitely, when we're talking about cooldowns, this is definitely a character where you can introduce something where the cooldown goes down depending when you're in a team fight. Because when you're in a team fight, you want to give out orders way more rapidly. So I think that's something you could put in there, where you say, when she's normally in lane, the attack order is, lane dependent. So it's kind of like medium range, like medium cooldown.
What about the idea that every time she issues an order to a new person, the cooldown goes down?
Oh yeah, I was thinking of, that's also a cool idea. Maybe I was thinking of something on the lines of, for example, when she gives an attack order to somebody and that character then does damage, like her cooldown internally will go down as well. But I also kind of like that idea where if she switches between people, so if she picks somebody new with the attack order or the retreat order, the cooldown is significantly lower. Kind of like with I think it's MF's love taps, where if you
Yes.
yeah, so you can it has a cooldown on a minion, but if you keep attacking other targets, it doesn't really have a cooldown.
So there's some good discussion going on in the chat at the moment. So Happy's saying, they're talking about the whole being forced to carry out the orders thing, which is, if people could not follow her orders, there'd be no reason to play her over any other champ. Which I think is fair. I do think that also would apply to any buffing champion, though, in that if somebody gave you a buff and you just decided to run away, then...
I mean, you don't want to know how many supports I've played with who rage when they give their ADC a shield, and then the ADC just proceeds to run on their turret and do nothing. So I would say yes, that's definitely a concern we need to keep in the back of our mind. Then again, there are loads of other champions in League who kind of already work similar, where it's, oh my god, I gave this guy attack speed, he didn't do anything.
Me.
How about we hit both of the ideas then, and we can just do the whole right thing of being like, let's do it both ways. So so you get a cooldown that's decreased each time you use on a different target, because that way when you're in lane, it sort of caps its effectiveness. But once you get into a team fight, she then sort of ups effectiveness quite a lot. But we can also have if the affected target does damage, that also reduces the cooldown as well.
I do believe and that's why I said like one of the mechanics. This is just spitballing, but one of the mechanics could be, for example, Leia or the general gives somebody an attack order. When that person attacks, that person realizes, if I'm following the order, I am, for example, helping decrease the cooldown for the next attack order. So, for example, you could say, okay, Leia puts an attack order on the frontline Volibear. The Volibear realizes, instantly goes for the attack, and with his next 3 auto, because he's attacking, or because he's doing damage, or because he does 3 auto attacks or something, the next attack order on Leia, on the general, is instantly lowered, or is like a lot lower. So when you follow these orders in tandem, you do really help out the team fight. I think that's like I think that is the approach we would want to go with this character, where it's, okay, if you coherently follow everything, then it does really work.
So Goran had an interesting idea, which is another big question here, but I think this is a good ability, which is, can you use it on minions to be able to cycle around to whichever one you want coming into a fight? And also, they didn't mention this, but this was all on my mind coming into this, is can you use it on yourself or not?
I would say, okay, so I think you can't use it on yourself. Excuse me. So you cannot use it on yourself, but oh man, using it on minions is interesting, because I like the idea that you cycle, because Aphelios as well, right? So there are, especially pros, there are situations where it's, oh, Aphelios has a pretty shitty gun for the next fight, so here are just a lot of minions where you can basically exhaust your bullets and then get a new gun.
I don't hate the idea at all, especially since Goran also included the idea in there of increasing the cooldown when you do that, so it's more like if you know you need to start the fight with a retreat order because the other team are really heavy on the engage, for instance, you can. You're not just sort of stuck being like, ugh, as I'm on my way to the team fight, I have to. But actually, yeah, no, I like that idea particularly because if we're going to make it a per target kind of cooldown kind of idea, that you don't want to waste that ability on a target, which would then give you a cooldown refund in the future when you come to a fight, or when you come to your team. You don't want to be like, oh, I need to cycle to retreat.
There could also be an ability in there, and this is just once again spitballing. If we actually make her a marksman, where it's, think of the Azir Sand Soldier, but basically when she gives somebody an attack order, she will auto attack from that particular target. So go back to previous example, she gives an attack order to the Volibear. The Volibear sort of will be think of it as a running turret, where the general is attacking from her. Maybe the auto attacks aren't. You need to guide the auto attacks then as a downside or a compensation for it. But she's literally attacking from the person she gave the attack order to.
That's very
I don't know.
interesting.
Yeah. So it's
Oh,
basically
hello.
like a
Welcome
sand
to the
soldier.
stream.
It's basically like a sand soldier you place on somebody you give an attack order to.
Look at her. She looks so fabulous.
Oh yeah, let's take a look at the art. Could you show
Oh,
off
yeah,
the
sure.
full art?
I'm
Because-
just done with the line art now.
Nice. Looks pretty amazing.
Look at the hair.
Cool.
I've tried to find something, fancy hairstyle wise fitting to
Yeah.
her.
Well, that's really
Maybe.
neat.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna make. I don't know if I'm gonna make you mad, Roger, but she's looking a lot more like, especially with the curls on the
Padme?
side. Yeah, no, not like Padme. I'd even say like Rey. Maybe it's even
Little
the
bit, little bit. But I mean, if you
the
think
facial
about it,
feat-
right? Like Leia's space buns on the side, right? Padme
Mm-hmm.
also has one hairstyle where she has like those similar but like very smaller, a bit above, right?
fair,
So
fair.
you see a similarity between their hairstyles. I mean, maybe that's like in the genes, that they have a
Genetic
thing for like
hairstyles.
fancy hairstyles.
Maybe she just made it retro. She said, "Oh, this is what my mother was wearing 30 years ago."
Or
I'm
my
gonna make
dad
this cool
showed me
again."
that senator. I like that hairstyle. I'm gonna copy that, right?
Yeah.
Then it turns out that's my
Oh,
mom.
Yes.
Boom!
Yes. That's actually that's a way better reveal than it did in any of the other Star Wars movies.
Luke, I am your haircut.
Impossible.
Impossible! I go to
You're
a different
bald.
burger. I don't know why I feel like Mickey Mouse either. All right,
Because it's
So-
Disney now.
It's Disney now, yeah.
all right. No, that's fair. Okay, so can be used on allied minions.
Okay.
I feel like if it's if it's used on a minion, maybe it gives the minion a really short-term burst of attack speed. So you can use it to siege up with a cannon minion, but it's not like it makes it into a super minion or anything.
Ooh, yeah. I think yes, but also it does still need to feel like a sort of a waste or extraordinarily circumstantial when you use it on a minion. Or it's like I would
Yes, I
rather
think it
use
will-
it on a champion.
I think the idea is, and I think Goran had a good idea of it, is the cooldown. Oh my gosh. I don't know what's going on. The cooldown is a lot longer when used this way.
Yeah, so it's not, you never want to really use it on a minion. It's circumstantial.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a real, it's having the option. Cool. I actually think that orders idea is pretty freaking sweet. So
I
there's
think,
a lot,
yeah.
there's a lot of discussion about what you were bringing up before with the whole attacking from an ally in. So I just want to go through what's been said already.
So yeah, I'll kind of quickly. I kind of quickly want to explain the vision I have, and chat, please discuss about this because this is not set in stone. This is just an idea I'm trying to convey. So the idea is that you have a champion, where it's shot calling in a fight. You can literally win a fight if you're, let's say, 15 kills behind, if you have a really good shot caller. If you have a really good shot caller, you can and your team kind of trusts this shot caller, you can win. So my idea is that you have a general that's way in the back, that is sort of directing the fight by using the abilities, by saying, this particular champion, right now go, you have a buff. This champion, you go back. So you're orchestrating everything, and
It's
that
a
way
WoW-
you are...
It's a WoW raid leader.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's sort of a WoW raid leader who is literally giving the orders, and because those orders are followed, and those orders generally should be the correct thing to do, give or take a few, it is... your team fight becomes not only more cohesive, but you actually have a better damage output. Everything is better for you in general, note the pun. But obviously, it does mean that this character in team fights is quite stationary, because in team fights, you need to worry about your positioning. You actually have no time to... You kind of want to be stationary. You kind of want to be looking at other people instead of doing the fighting yourself.
Yeah, I really like that as a broad concept. Just to answer Happy Light Sense's question, it was a banner of command, which was the one that lets you buff minions and split push. So I think the intention with the orders from General 1 is it allows for Not Leia to tower push when she's at the tower with a cannon minion, but it's not intended to be this is gonna make this be able to split push by itself.
You can even say it gives the minions a little buff against turrets, and then it goes on a 20-second cooldown, so it can basically be, you know what, I've got this, might as well buff a minion here while I'm pushing, and then just recall and get out.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking as well, is that you would kind of recall once you were done with this. So we've got a couple of ideas that are still to explore, which is the one which you had, which was attacking from somebody else. We've also got the negotiation ground kind of idea, where you have a space where you can't attack in some way. But going to a couple more things.
Yeah. So the was it Happy? Yeah, it's more like picks from Lulu. That was kind of what I was thinking as well, where she's sort of she kind of puts like a picks from Lulu on somebody, or something in general, where if this person attacks, this champion attacks, my auto attacks might do a follow-up or something along those lines.
Oh, like a sort of Callista idea with the
yeah, kind of. So you can think of it like this, okay? You give an attack order to somebody, that person goes onto the attack, and then actually this might be the idea. So the general, not Leia, the general is kind of standing still, but I'll keep Volibear as an example. You give the attack order to Volibear. Volibear then walks up, starts attacking, and then no matter where Leia is, her auto attacks will connect to that target. So she will kind of follow up the auto attacks from other champions.
Okay, follow up other damage. So I just want to make sure we don't miss anything that's being said in the chat, because Goran and Happy sense really appreciate the amount of suggestions.
Yeah, keep them coming. Like, don't apologize. Keep them coming.
So let's see. So if you have a marksman attack ability, what will be a bit more fluent if you attack, you also give the attack buff. And if you have to use the defense ability, you can use retreat ability, since it makes more sense with the gameplay. Why would you retreat during an attack? I'm drawing a blank with what Goran is saying there. I feel like that probably makes a lot of sense, but I'm not understanding it.
Okay,
does that make sense to you, Access?
Yeah, let me give it a read. See if I am the one who's holding our brain cells at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just like looking at. I'm like,
no
oh
worries,
my gosh,
man.
it's too much. It's too
so
late.
You have a marksman attack ability. It would be a bit more fluent if you attack. You also give the attack buff. Yeah, okay. Which is so far. And if you have to use the defensive ability, you can use the retreat ability. So it makes more sense with the gameplay. Why would you retreat during attack? Yeah, so I think Gordon, what you're trying to say is that you have two abilities. One that is linked with the attack order, one that is linked with the retreat order, and you don't automatically cycle between them. For example, you can give three attack abilities in a row. Now, the idea, why would you retreat in a team fight? If you really look at high-level mechanical team fights, there is a lot of back and forth going on constantly. You can also see that. That's also one of the reasons why for example, I see in pro play, it isn't, unless it's the LCS, it isn't like 50-50 in terms of kills. It's because these fights are really, people kind of really know their limits, and they really know, I can do this, and then I need to leave, because otherwise I will die. So that's also why making the shot calls is important, because the best way to, and I know I keep hammering on about this, but it is kind of a cool concept. The best way I understood shot calling was from a clip from Repo, and he said, if you die, you become the shot caller because you see more when you're dead.
Yeah.
And
that is pretty cool.
Yeah, and he followed it up with, that's why you made me shot caller, because I die a lot. And that was during an actual pro play match. But I kind of like the idea, because that's actually the first time I truly understood what a shot caller does. A shot caller, you're actively not really fighting. You're actively trying to see what needs to be done, because the rest of the team is focusing on doing their mechanics.
Yeah. I like the idea. And also, so Gordon re-explained the idea, and I think that's actually a really cool idea, which is that we're kind of playing with the concept of toggled abilities, really, with his character.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to lean heavier into that she could, there will be ways to cheat the order's ability effectively.
Yes.
Is what Goran's suggesting, which is that if you auto attack someone, the attack version just becomes your next one, and if you use some kind of defensive ability, you then get to double up on the retreat order.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool idea. I like
Okay,
that a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. So, and in a Happy Light sense, I do agree with what Happy is saying. It's not why would you retreat in a team fight, it's why would you retreat when you want to attack, and that I 100% agree with. I think that's also something we need to take in consideration, where it's sometimes you just want to give all your people the attack order, and that's maybe something that should be in your kit as well.
Well, I mean, that we somewhat, I do get what you mean, that it would probably feel very bad if you had only a retreat order available and your team wanted to run down the opposing squad. Like, that's definitely a problem we need to address, because that would feel pretty bad to have to effectively burn your ability and not do anything with it. But I think if we can give the kit a way to access a couple of versions of attack, that mitigates that a bit, that you're still left in a situation where you might only be able to, well, you only get to tell 2 people to attack, or even 1 person to attack, when you really want to, and you still have to wait.
Yeah. So, okay, so now we run into the problem, because we can flesh out the rest of the kit, right? So now we run into the problem, how do you actually have a sort of UI design where it's clear that you as a player, you do an ability and then you give the attack order, then you have an ability and then you can give a defensive order. You can do that in succession with this, so you don't have sort of a repeating pattern, but you can create your own pattern. And how do you treat that? As in, do you want to say, this is the attack ability, this is the defense ability, this is the retreat ability, or do you want to have a more subtle way of implementing that, where there is sort of a skill involved, where it's, okay, you do an ability, you hit a champion, that gives you an attack, that gives you an attack order, or you do an ability, you heal an ally, that gives you a defensive order.
Gosh, oh man, that's getting complicated already, and I'm like, my brain's falling out of my ears.
So let me simplify it. Let me simplify it a little
Dumb
bit.
it down for me, dumb it down for me.
So basically it's, how do you create a champion out of that, where you say now you can attack? How do you push the buttons that say now you attack, now you retreat? Because you kind of want to have a sort of gameplay in there as well. So you don't just want to have this button says attack, this button says defense. So my idea is, what if, for example, when you auto attack a champion, you can always give an attack order. So if you auto attack a champion, you can give an attack order to somebody. If you, for example, do something else with an allied champion, I don't know what it is, you can give give a retreat order.
Okay. If you're talking about UI stuff and just trying to do weird things for the sake of it, how about a ability icon that is blue and red? It's divided in half. It's like if you imagine like a box that's divided in half, and it's basically the ability icon itself is 2 bars, and that you so when the bar gets filled up, you can cast that version of the ability. So it will.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that I like. So yeah. So the ability does. Okay, that is cool. Because you're putting 2 in one ability, and it means you free up the rest of your kit. That I kind of like. So basically, it is an ability that you can simultaneously use. So let's say the Q. So with the Q, you can give order you can give their attack and retreat order, but it kind of needs to stack up, and it has 2 meters. It is a stack up meter for the attack.
On what Happy was saying in the chat, which is the idea of that you would gain attack when you go towards enemies, so you would be getting continuous attack orders. So that does solve the problem. If you're chasing people, you're not getting useless orders, and if you're retreating, you're getting, as in you're running away from the enemy, you are getting more retreat juice.
Yes,
to be able to cast retreat more often. Okay, so that's how it be. So we're making it more complicated again, but. I think this could work. That's quite elegant.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite an elegant solution. So basically, it's if you do stuff to. So if you do stuff that symbolizes or that generally you would do when you're attacking somebody, your attack order will stack up faster. If you do stuff that is generally considering stuff that you're when you're retreating, you will get a retreat order. For example, you can say when you do damage to an enemy champion, or somebody in your team does damage to an enemy champion, somebody you have a link with, your attack orders stack up faster. Or when you're exactly as happy with saying when you're running towards the enemy, you will get your attack order will stack up faster when you're running away. Or maybe when you get when your team or yourself gets a lot of damage taken, your retreat order stacks up faster as well. There could be something in there where you literally have sort of an emergency retreat where, you know, the
Emergency
general
retreat is the Flash, okay?
or it could be something where for example,
that's my emergency retreat. When I feel
you-
threatened,
Fair.
and I feel threatened a lot, you know, I just
Fair,
use the
fair.
Flash.
Roger, would you,
And then everyone else is like, "Did you just flash?" I'm just like, "No, no, I did not."
Roger, would you mind taking a quick break from layer painting to I don't know if I can. I'm trying to do this on paint and I'm not having very much success with it because I can't figure out what the shape tools are of doing it like a ability icon for this, because I feel like it's just
Yes.
this particular one is worth even just doing a really sketchy version of it where it's like it's like a box with like 2 bars from a bar graph inside, and one of those bars isn't full, so there'll be like a red bar which was like say 3/4 full and a blue bar that's say half full,
Okay.
yeah.
because then we can put that on stream. That will hopefully make even just a really really sketch version will still make it a lot clearer. I think what this is supposed to look like.
I think
I've never
it's
seen UI
yeah.
put on the actual ability icons before.
I'm thinking if there is something where it does. It is. I mean, you have the cooldown that is on the UI, but besides that, no, I can't think of anything.
I don't know if it, it might be the kind of thing that's a little too hard to read, like it might be too small, but I think it's an interesting idea to try and explore. So
Oh,
Yeah.
there is one. There is one I can
Yeah.
think of. Camille's Q. So if you use your first Q, which is basically your auto attack reset, it needs to charge up. And you can
Oh, that's
either do an
true, yes.
empowered one or a second one, and you can kind of see the meter charging up. I think there's one.
oh, that's right. Does it have like a little sort of timer which ticks around on the?
Yeah, it literally has a timer that ticks around. I'm thinking if there's anything else along those lines, or it is literally on the UI bar itself.
Okay. Well, let's go back to what you were saying before. So
Yeah.
so let's call it attack juice. So you get this from under the following circumstances. When the bar is full, you can cast the ability.
Yeah.
So move. I don't know quite how we deal with in that case with how do we rotate off an ability we don't want to use, but we can come back to that maybe.
No, well, you can say it can be as easy as so. The order you give out, so you press Q to give out the order, but if you press Q on an enemy, you'll give an attack order. If you press Q on a ally, you'll give a defensive order. It can be literally be as simple as that.
Well, that is a different ability at that point.
Yeah.
Like in terms of, I don't know. I do kind of want it to be like one which is just for your allies, just because the idea that I don't really like. I'm not vibing so much with the idea of a general ordering the other side to do stuff. Just
What do you
in
mean
the whole-
ordering the other side to do stuff?
Well, it sounded like you were suggesting using the Q on enemies. Or am I misunderstanding you?
The thing is, right? How do you differentiate between? How do you differentiate between if it's on the same ability between the attack order and the retreat order?
I think it would need to just have a different icon. That it
Yeah,
would
so-
have a big red icon if it's attack, a big blue icon. All right, so
Okay.
yeah, we are getting a
Well,
little caught up on this.
yeah. Well,
so
let's say we'll figure out the UI
Yeah.
later on. So let's say attack juice. So attack juice moving towards enemies, maybe even doing damage to enemies, and then defense juice taking damage from enemies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So taking damage, inflicting damage. I think
Yeah.
we can come back and add more stuff in, but that
Yeah.
kind of gets the broad strokes across. So, okay, so we've got a couple of abilities we haven't really sort of gone into yet. So the idea of being able to auto attack from allies is interesting. It's very Azir, it's very Lux. It is also very generally at the same time. Did you have a particular idea on how to implement that? It sounded like you were thinking of something like Lux, but you auto attack like you would through an Azir soldier.
It'd be kind of like, for example, with Zuri right now, where her auto attacks are kind of guided. I think we did that already, and I think maybe just literally taking away from Zuri's kit is not the correct thing to do. But it's basically so because you have to kind of stand still as a general because you're commanding your troops. How do you do damage then? Where you kind of attack or you kind of do damage from the person you have given an attack order from. So that person kind of directs your damage.
Okay.
Was the idea.
So,
It can literally be similar to you just put a sand soldier on somebody. You know, you change out how it actually looks, but that in theory is what you're doing, and then you're attacking from that sand soldier.
I don't mind that idea at all. Like, it definitely is derivative, but at the same time, it's a new implementation of that idea. So,
True.
so you attach a pick-style soldier to one of your allies, and then your auto-attack range then includes an area around that person.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's totally fine. So picks style attachments to allies. We still need a better name. Not Leia is not it's not cutting the mustard here.
Order 66.
Oh gosh, that's a intense looking expression for a not Leia. I love it. So she can auto attack in an area around the, what are we going to call this?
Want to stay in the Star Wars theme? What can we, like, laser turret or something? What's
did a
very
drone
Star
last
Warsy?
week. I don't know.
Oh, we did do a drone last week. That's kind of. It can be an android or like a robot right now, not just a drone. A droid.
Like
a droid, yeah.
Like a little shoulder-mounted. I guess you don't really have a. No one's really attached. No one ever attaches stuff to character models, so I don't think that's really a thing. We might just have to basically just have it be a pix.
I mean,
it's a robot.
Oriana's ball is something you can attach to people.
Yeah, that's true.
Pixie is a good example. I think there's other stuff you can.
All right, well let's
Yeah.
just call it a drone for now because we can change it to something else.
What can be more
And-
creative later on.
Okay, so that's fine. I think that's totally cool. So that, yeah, Exodus, I think that's a great piece of design work there. You've identified a problem, which is that she doesn't get to ever auto-attack anyone, and we've found a solution for it. This may not be the final, like, version of that idea, but it addresses a problem which is inherent in the design. So, alright,
Basically.
so we've got also a big decision to make here as, do we want if we want to have the peace tent kind of thing in there, do we want that to be, we've either got like a kind of gravity well kind of idea where you're kind of dropping down areas of the battlefield where people just won't fight or can retreat back through. The alternative is building a structure like an HQ where like it's a big deployable kind of big buffs around the place kind of idea.
It could be something as easy as you said. This is, insert cool name, null void grenade or whatever, and she literally throws a grenade and then it will explode after 3 seconds, or when an enemy champion comes near or something along those lines, and then it creates sort of area where you're either slowed or the enemy or your team has more resistances in, or it's something where this is definitely something where you can feel safe with.
I think, yeah,
Sort of
I
based
feel like
on
that's broadly makes sense.
I'm also thinking of how could we do it a little bit more out there, where it's, as you said, a sort of safe zone of operations, where this is potentially something where you can. Is there? Okay, there is one ability which I can think of. I was going to say, is there an ability that gives you a sort of area on the ground, and if you stay in there for like 10 seconds, you get healed, as in, or there are two actually. You'll get like healing over time, or your healing goes up. I'm thinking of the Cyclone, so the Janus ultimate and Fiora's ultimate. It can be something similar, where it's if you stay in this area for a short period, you will get healed and you can go back into the fight.
I like sort of possibly slightly adjacent to the idea you've come up with there. What about the idea of a hold your ground ability?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where
Quick thing. I'm actually proud of the face I just drew on her.
yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
that's
I
cool.
usually suck at drawing faces.
can we get a close up on this face? Enthusiastically so. Nice. I like her a lot. She looks really cool.
This is actually an expression I could see Carrie Fisher pull off.
Yes, right?
Or it's like, oh, I don't care. I don't
Like
have time
peek all
for
the
you.
jewelry. I mean, she's getting a little bit more piercings here, but like, see, like there's a whole. I'm really proud of the outfit. Like, there's a whole theme going on, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like the cloak is connected with the triangles on her shoulder, right? And like then she has a matching necklace, which also gives me a bit like of the Rogue One vibes, right? With a matching belt, you know, and then like the dress a bit, and then with the pants, still like, you know, the very like feminine but still like strong, right? The combat boots, so
They're
she's
very
always on the
piloty
fly.
pants.
But and then, you know, the spacey, you know, like spacey little like, you know,
Ooh,
shoulder
ooh,
pad things from the 80s, you know?
I've got a voice line. I've got a voice line for you. Just because we're in a battlefield doesn't mean I don't have to look fabulous. Or so you can shorten it down. I mean,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Like we might not beat them, but we beat their outfits.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We might not
better-
beat them, but we beat their outfits. That's actually
It's
a good
always
one.
terrible when you feel like you're laughing for a different reason than other people are laughing.
Yeah,
Fighting
you
in
can laugh
style.
with us. You can laugh with us. Ooh, fighting in style.
I feel like
That could
fighting
be-
in style is a little bit more restrained.
Yeah.
I can get. But, okay.
Okay,
Let's,
yeah, sure.
I'll put that in as a. Okay, fighting style. Yeah, I like that idea. What do you think of? So, this is primarily just to do something that hasn't been done in League of already, but to take your idea and kind of like to like try and mix it up a bit. Is what about if you have a area of effect ability you drop down?
Yeah.
That has an increasingly large amount of beneficial buffs to your ally that increase
Okay.
over time. So the longer someone stays in there, the bigger the effect is. But you can, from an enemy point of view, you can attack someone when they're first in there and try and drive them off of that.
Oh, okay. You
So
could.
you've got like a little mini.
Yeah.
It's basically like a control zone. You basically create
Yeah.
a control zone which you can then.
It
fight
could be
over.
something. It could actually be something where, for example, if you're in the zone. Oh, I got a good name for the ability. Could be forward planning. By the way.
Yeah?
So it could be. I like the idea. So let me rephrase it and see if this is kind of what you mean, or this is a good consensus. So it's in the zone that you drop down. If somebody is in there, you will get a ramping up buff. So basically, it can be used in a plethora of ways. You can say, okay, this is literally a death brush, where because we're all buffed to the max, this first person that walks in here, we surprise them. Or it can be something you put down way at the back, and when you give somebody the retreat order, for example, they go into that zone. They kind of regenerate their forces, and then they go back in with him with the buff, something along those lines. And to give it a downside, or to give it at least some counterability, if you're in combat, so say for example, if you're in the zone but you do get auto attacked, the buff isn't stacking. So you need to be out of combat to get the buff stacking.
I don't mind that idea. That's certainly a more defensive interpretation of it.
I don't know if that's what you were going for, because
Well,
then there
the
you
reason-
actually have counterplay.
Yeah, I like the idea of there being counterplay to it.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I kind of hesitate on that is because I'm thinking that this is going to be something that's going to be ideally going to be contested over.
Yeah.
And maybe that's to still work. Okay, so let's just go with a very basic version of this buff. So let's say, so it's like a healing zone.
Yeah, like a
that
healing zone.
Gets stronger over time, and has a limited duration.
Yeah.
So
Or get stronger up until a max, for example, where there's a sort of cap you can get. Sorry, you can get out of it.
oh yeah, yes, it probably does
Yeah.
need to also have has a cap for an individual unit.
Because you can't just stay in there for like a minute and then all of a sudden you get 200% attack speed or something. That's not how it works. You would have a
So-
cap at a certain point.
Maybe what it is if we think of like an empty gravity well kind of effect, that
Mhm.
it only activates when someone's standing in it.
Yes.
And it gains in strength for the duration so the longer someone stands in it, the more it charges up. Like it's got an overall timer that it will disappear however charged it is at that point. But you can increase the effect of it by staying in there. And we can still include your idea, which is that someone won't count for the increasing effect if they are in combat.
Yeah, if they're being attacked or taking damage, the buff is not stacking on you. So for example, let's say for just sake of argument, this thing gives you percentage attack speed. I'm not saying it should, but it gives you. And it counts up. So for example, every second you stay in there, you get 10% attack speed extra. But if you're in that zone and somebody is purposely attacking you, purposely doing damage to you, you won't get the attack speed buff is not ramping up. You'll get, for example, the 10% you start with, but you won't go to 20, you won't go to 30, you won't go to 40. So that's kind of what we're saying. Yeah. And if you obviously if you leave the zone, then you retain that buff for a couple of seconds, but then afterwards it definitely times out.
But won't charge the zone further. I think that's a neat idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's actually a really cool idea. So zone has maximum lifespan irrespective of charge, and it's probably
I would also say this is
ability.
Yeah, this is something. I mean, I still like the idea of calling it forward planning, because that's literally what it is. It's okay. We're gonna fight in this area. I'm gonna put down a zone that stays for a long period with an equally long, if not longer, cooldown. That says, okay, cool. This area now we have the base of operation for the next 20 seconds. It also means in the next 40 seconds you will not have a new base of operations.
Well, okay, so we've got the two. So yours was forward planning, and mine was hold your ground.
Yeah, hold your ground is also actually cool. You can also just say hold your ground.
Well, what does chat think, Roger? What do you think? Which one of those works best for that kind of ability?
What?
Because we've got. I'll explain the ability again just quickly. So we've got a zone that your team gets stronger from standing in, but the enemy is heavily motivated to try and push you off of that zone. Like that's the broad idea of the ability, and we've got two potential names for it, or even a third name as yet to be thought of, which is hold your ground is one, forward planning is another. So what I like about your name, the forward planning, is it telegraphs a little bit more what you're supposed to be doing with the ability.
Yeah, it's kind of explaining to the player what you kind of need to do with the ability.
But Roger, what do you think? Do either of them sort
I like
of
with the hold your ground more, because since the enemy team tries to get you out of it, it's like, hold the ground, like hold up the defense, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of like it as well.
Okay. Also, it does make for a good obvious voice line of her just yelling, hold your ground.
Yeah, literally.
Ooh, that is epic.
She literally
Wait,
will.
Are you
it
familiar
can-
with? Let me just find this for you guys. Because with the hold your ground stuff, I immediately start thinking of. So there's I think you'll enjoy this. Let's see if I can save it and put it on stream. So in Warhammer 40,000, there's a type of person called a commissar, which is it's a takeoff of the old Russian sort of disciplinary officers who would basically force people to not retreat by murdering them.
Yeah,
you did.
basically, you need to be more afraid of us than you need to be of the enemy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, more recently, Games Workshop, who are really far behind times generally in terms of representation, have started including female commissars as part of their stuff. I'm just going to put
Yay.
up on stream right now what that looks like, because I thought that might be helpful, Roger, to see kind of the representation of this kind of character.
It is behind the art stream. So
Yes.
I'm looking at the stream. I'm looking on Twitch as well, so there's a little bit of a delay. Oh, there you go. Oh, okay.
Roger, what do you think? You'd have to look at the stream itself to be able to...
Oh, damn. But that's a bit too much.
That's very-
communism.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
say
no,
that's very
Warhammer's
communist.
very
yeah.
heavily on the communist,
imperialism,
Nazi,
yeah.
imagery for its stuff. 100%.
Like, we're trying to get rid of the Empire here, not join them.
Fair, actually, fair enough. Fair enough, because this is something we obviously don't have the means for, maybe yet, but I can see her, for example, with this ability. This is actually not something we often discuss with animation-wise, but she literally kind of says, she yells, hold your ground, and then she just points to the ground or something, and it coincides with an area coming down from space, or it's a shot, boom, you can visually clearly see the circle put on the ground. I think that's
Oh,
cool.
you mean
Sort
like
of like,
having a physical item come down, like
yeah, so
like sandbags or something?
Sandbags, or it can literally be some. So what I have envisioned is, and I don't know if we actually should go into this, but it's fun. So she uses the ability. It can literally be as simple as she points her finger from the sky she points it from the sky and then to the ground, and then says, "Hold your ground!" Bam! An area comes down like an Anduin zone of light, holy light,
That
or
is
whatever.
Oh, you mean like a helicopter spotlight kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of like a helicopter spotlight, where it's hold your ground. We'll fight in this area. Bam.
I mean, Goran, they said we could, if we did go back to the right at the beginning and complaining about Jarvan's flag mechanic not being
Oh yeah.
flaggy enough, then we could just make it just be a flag in the center where the flag flies in from off screen and lands there.
She
She
points
points
at
to the sky, lightning a flag rams into the ground, that cracks on the ground.
Very epic. Very epic.
dramatic flag.
I mean, dramatic flag is actually fine by me. It could be something. It really could be something along those lines, where it's just hold your ground. Massive flag comes down and says, "This is our last stand."
Okay, so a flag javelin.
She calls down a flag from the Nebula Quadrant or whatever.
The center zone. Yeah, I think the idea of having a giant flag, even if it gets in the way visually, I think it's too good to not have. And also, we don't actually make this champion, so who cares?
And we don't have to do the
We
animation.
can do whatever we want.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. I like that idea a lot. And maybe if the enemy overruns the hold your ground thing, and they get an enemy on it while it's not got anyone contested, maybe the zone flips and starts providing its effect to the enemy instead.
Ooh, that is, oh my god. Once again, you kind of come into trolling territory, because you can literally, man, you can really screw up a team fight that way. Because you can
Oh yeah,
basically-
no, your team would hate you if you put it down at the wrong time and it got overrun immediately. But
Yeah.
I got
Or you,
maybe if it's like a like a short-term version of the effect, so it's not quite as bad, but there's still a motivation to do it. It's just not you lose the team fight immediately because you've just started working for the enemy team.
I mean, the advantage you have then is you could give it a very powerful buff. Because if it's very powerful but it gets overtaken, you always need to be careful when to use it, because then it's like, okay, yeah, sure, this gives a lot of a, or actually, you know what? You can do it this way. You can say it gives the buff, but it doesn't give the stacking effect. It gives the base form of
Yes.
the buff if it gets overtaken for a remainder of 2 to 3, like a remainder of 2 seconds. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think the whole control the space like mini game, which is this is introducing, I think is actually pretty fun as an idea. So yeah, no, I think we're on the same page. Yeah, so I think I like the idea of limiting it as well. So even if the not Leia player really screws up and puts down something and it just gets immediately overrun, it's not gonna then stay there for the entirety.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a short thing where it's bad, but it's not completely devastating.
Yeah, I kind of like the way Goran is phrasing it in chat as well. So as long as one player is standing and hold your ground, it belongs to the own team. When it gets completely overrun, it will swap, but it will only give the base, like the base version of the buff for a remainder of, you know, X seconds or something.
Yes. So I think the healing zone will probably be so let's say the healing
Kinda-
zone.
Sure thing, like the healing zone, it kind of reminds me of like the healing zones in ARAM, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very similar
Hmm.
mechanically to that.
Yeah, it can be,
let's-
yeah.
Let's say maximum. It's 8 seconds too long.
As a, I think that
Really well timed on these.
really
yells.
well timed on these random yells.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
we need to change the name because Happy's writing in Leia right now. We can't have a name be actually.
Yeah,
Leia.
Roger is designing the art. So Roger, you're gonna hate us for this, but can you kind of restart on the name because
No.
Nerio. What's the idea with Nerio?
Nerio? Well, not Leia, or yeah. Apparently, she used to be a partner of Mars.
War goddess.
in
I
Rome.
mean, that would work. That's functional.
It is. I mean, look, Happy, I am down, but I'm not the person you have to convince here. I'm not the person you have to convince here. I have no control over that, so you need to schmooze up to somebody else. I'm not saying any names. Just saying. It starts with 2 R's. And it is a Star Wars. It is a Star Wars reference as well.
Neria. Yeah, I like Neria. I think Neria
Neria.
flows a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neria is. That sounds good. I can live with that.
All right, sold. There we go. Okay, so in that case, I think we've already got like at least 2 abilities in here which are really cool, and I would definitely, if either of us actually managed to make it in doing like character design, we definitely want to keep these in the bank of being like, these are good abilities we can break out and be like, these are actually usable. I
Okay,
think the
now
drone one
for
is
yeah.
the drone one is a little underdeveloped, but I think it's also just functional, and that's okay.
We still need an ultimate though, and
Yes.
kind of struggling with. It's always with champions like this. And we had the same thing with Kim last week, where it's either you have a champion where you from the get-go, like with the Berserker, you can clearly say, oh yeah, this is probably going to be the ultimate, and it makes a lot of sense and it's very intuitive and logical, or it's a champion where you can figure out the play style, and we've had this so many times, and then you're like, oh, what does the ultimate do? It's this once
What
again.
if with the ultimate she uses the force, and shoves enemies like back? Be like,
Force push, basically.
I mean, if we did, that wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world. That we are
No.
very
because so far we
close
don't
to
have
just
anything
creating
really like,
Azir again.
Star Wars related in abilities for her, right?
I'm not honestly super worried if she doesn't have any Star Wars abilities. I think she's already a distinct character from anything Star Wars related already. We've basically just taken the general archetype rather than being. We could have the same concept. We could have. Okay, so Happy suggesting
Force pusher
A,
pull. Oh, yeah.
a sort of alternating ability kind of idea again. Okay.
It could be actually what we don't have so far is a form of CC. It could literally be something where, for example, it's sort of a trap that's closing. So it's almost okay. I have now with my ultimate kind of trapped the enemy in here, or I have created a good opportunity because that fits into her kit as well. I've created a good opportunity for you to actually engage on, or to actually kind of win or retreat from a team fight. So I would say, for example, like a massive, she puts down a massive slow on on an area or something, or she puts like something down where it's, all of a sudden all of these enemies are weaker, or all of these enemies just took a huge chunk of damage, or there is something where, hey guys, this is a good setup.
Well, the idea I've had in Pocket for many years is that press the attack as a mastery. I don't remember if press attack's even in the game anymore because I know they've changed things around, but it feels very much more like a support ability than it does a...
Yeah, that's true actually.
Because we talk about the whole raid leader thing, target marking is something we don't have in the kit yet. So if we wanted to do something like a Hemoplague that marks targets like hit this target, we could. Though
It could be
not just the Hemoplague.
I'm thinking it could also be something like, think of a Swain W, right? So so the long, that's his long area, kind of his eye. His zone that he channels. It's got a long range.
Empire, I believe.
Yeah, Vision of the Empire ability, exactly. And then it slows them down. It could be something where it marks them. So you put an ability, it marks them, it slows them, and then people know, oh, these targets suddenly are vulnerable.
Happy
It could
has
be
got, I do
global.
like the idea what Happy's starting, which is a different idea. So it's like it's combining Azir Ultimate with Thresh E, which is that you've got a push or pull on the same ability depending on which direction you cast it, but rather than it being a directional difference, it's based on what you're charging at that point. So are you being aggressive, which I guess you probably want to have a pull, or are you being defensive, in which case you probably want to push.
Yeah.
I don't mind that idea. It's straightforward. We could also
She can be something along those lines, yeah.
I mean, we could always have the one which is the aggressive version of the pull also mark those targets we wanted to have, both things.
Okay, she could conjure some lightning, and then she has the push and pull, and as and then she conjures the ability all allies in range get an attack buff. That once again makes her feel very supportive like, which is good.
I definitely think she is a support.
She's definitely support, but she's definitely the support who's like, I'm the orchestrator of all of this. I'm the person who
she's a very dominant support.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely, because you'll have to. It's also one of the things where it's, which is not a bad thing, because certain supports do really direct battles better, and this is a champion that you can take, for example, where you say, oh, okay, they're taking Neria. If they take Neria, I will have to make, have faith that I trust those calls.
We like the wound, the scar on the eyebrow, or should I remove it? I'm conflicted.
Oh, that's quite subtle, actually.
It's subtle enough for you to, it's subtle enough where it's not taking up the tension.
Of course, she has
adds.
piercings.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's some good character stuff to get her having a bit more going on. I think I didn't notice because the eyebrow mixes in with the hair, so I thought the other side of the eyebrow was part of the hair.
Mm-hmm.
She's even got a stylish scar. That's basically it.
A little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think what the general theme which people seem to be agreeing on here with the ultimate is it needs to have some sort of effect that helps your allies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think the idea of making her into like a murder machine with her ultimate is right. That feels...
Does she have a passive yet? No, she doesn't have a passive.
Oh yeah, we forgot to give her a
Oh
passive.
yeah, I forgot the passive.
Sorry.
No, that's not something to apologize for. That's
on
for us
us.
to apologize for.
That's completely on us. Okay. I mean, do you want to synergize the passive and the R? Is that something we can do while we're at it?
Gosh, I don't even know what the R is though.
Okay.
Passive is just chain lightning.
I still like my idea of the force push, you know.
Unlimited power.
Basically.
I mean, if you wanted to put the force push onto a passive, if you wanted to pull that up your ass kind of thing, that she has a.
You know what she doesn't have? A defensive ability for herself.
Oh, maybe like a
Wouldn't
mouse
wouldn't the
shield for
ult
herself
be
or
that?
something.
You know, like
Yeah,
pushing
so
them away.
The ult could literally be something where it is. This is kind of her
Last
guarding
resort?
tool. Her guarding tool, last resort for either an ally or herself. Because remember, people will. The idea is that this is a support that will be heavily focused by the enemy as well, because you want to kill the general as fast as possible. So it can literally be something as push everybody away, or force, hey, you're now airborne for 3 seconds. Where it's because I need to stall time for the rest of my team to come protect
Yes,
me.
knock them up with like the force choke, you know, and then they're like in the air, like.
Yeah.
Well, I like what Goran's saying here with the dying and still calling the shots. Like, because that's the sort of vibe for me, like the whole idea that there's something about the art or the passive
Okay.
that allows you to. Oh, I mean, do we just give them Karthus passive? And
I
just
was-
let them
I was
art
floating
from
that
where they die.
I mean, I was floating that idea around as well, but then at the same time, it's also the
It's
it's
kind of-
also the why do you kill her then if she still will have the passive?
I guess because she then can't move, and then she'll like properly die after duration. I don't hate the idea of just giving her Karthus passive because her abilities. So the difference here with Karthus is that he stays alive primarily to be able to cast his ultimate and deny the area around him. Whereas for Neria, she wants to be near allies, so the fact that she has died creates another objective for the team, and that they want to fight around her, but they don't necessarily get the opportunity to do so.
It could be something like thematically. It could be something as in like dying speech or whatever, or where she dies, but she's given this, she's given this speech where it's "you'll have to fight on. I'm not important. The cause is important," or something Hollywoody.
Maybe she when she dies, she goes into a Kog'Maw style state where she's crawling along the ground really slowly, and she can't auto attack anymore, but she can still cast abilities for a limited duration.
It could be It could also be something of when you die, and allies near you get a buff or something as well, where it's basically
Or we do it like they did in the Star Wars movie, right? When she was supposed to die, because when the ship exploded, she just suddenly, she just flies
through the
back
sky.
into the same
She
space. She does not die.
She Mary Poppins herself back
She
into the
subverts
ship.
expectations, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. I mean,
Okay, so
if we
it's
wanted to-
called bad plot device.
All right, let's call it. We're running very tight to an hour and a half
Sorry.
now, so let's give her a Force Ghost.
Force Ghost.
So when she dies,
She can still give
leaves-
orders.
leaves behind a temporary ghost that she can cast from and can also be destroyed by enemies.
Yeah, let's say it can be destroyed actually, because then you really have to commit.
Maybe it's got like a really slow movement speed or something.
Yeah.
Just so it's not effectively just a resurrection.
She leaves behind a Force Ghost that moves slowly and uses certain abilities, and enemies have to kill it, and the team can continue to defend her. Okay, that is kind of a cool idea. Where it does so if you assassinate her, she still has the Force Ghost, and she kind of has she's definitely now weaker, but you still have that fighting chance if you can protect the Force Ghost. Yeah, sure, that's a cool idea.
I think maybe what it could be.
I
is
wouldn't
the
want to
Force-
force it on you.
Ugh, shit.
Nice,
Maybe the
nice.
Force Ghost persists for longer if allies are nearby or something.
Or persists as long as allies are nearby, or like if you at least similar to maybe
Persists
the
for longer,
the E.
maybe not just permanently.
Yeah, persists longer when allies are nearby.
I do like the idea. We've already got one kind of ability that sounds from a positive to a negative. I don't know if we want to have another thing that if she dies as a Force Ghost, that it gives
No,
a
I think that's a
negative
bit
to
too
your team.
much. I think that's a bit too much.
Look at the little icon.
Oh, I love it. We still don't know what the ability does yet, but it looks cool. All right. So wait, no, that R ability is the passive ability.
Oh, okay.
So we just need to swap that around.
How do we do
Actually,
this?
maybe that's something the alt does, where it's literally force lightning, and she just although it's extraordinarily similar to Neri or Zeri, or it's just I do a lot of lightning around me, and then everybody is silenced for like the next for the next
That's
2
literally
seconds.
the same ability.
But that's I just realized that is
I
literally the
do
same
like
ability.
the target marking thing. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
On the wrong layer there, Roger. It looks like.
Maybe it's actually what if it's something like you send out a skill shot. So you send out a skill shot. If it connects with somebody, that person will take X amount of extra damage.
Okay, like a sort of sniper rifle.
Yeah, kind of like I don't know if I want
Ta-da!
to say kind of like a Caitlyn.
I just moved it down.
Yeah.
I kind of want
Nice.
to say kind of like a Caitlyn R, but you put it on. It's telegraphed who's it gonna be on.
Okay. So are we thinking like a so Caitlyn R. Oh right, that's right. That's an auto aiming ability that has a marker.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be fairly straightforward. So just be like, it would be like a press the attack that you just activate on an enemy, and then they will
kinda.
take more damage. I don't hate that idea. It's very straightforward, but it would fulfill the function of target marker, which we did want to have as part of the kit. I don't know if anyone can think of a way to make kind of sex it up a bit to make it more interesting. But I suppose Caitlyn's ult isn't very
It
complex.
could. I mean, it could be something literally similar where she's kind of like pointing, or there's this. You have a sort of targetable directional system where she's basically you need to kill this particular champion. Like this is the one we're focusing on. You'll get rewarded for it as well.
Oh, what about the idea that she target marks with like a sort of a pointer laser or something?
Yeah.
And the target gets marked, and at the end of the duration, an orbital laser shoots out the sky and hits the target for a percentage of the damage that they've taken during that period of time.
Oh, so it's kind of it's a Death Star.
Yes.
Yeah, no. I like it. It's a Death Star, and it charges up based on the amount of damage. Based on the amount of damage a certain person has taken. So it's kind of like an
during
execute.
that mark duration.
Yeah,
I
so you're
think-
kind of putting a Z ultimate almost on somebody,
Yes.
but you're not
yeah,
doing
so
the
put a
damage.
death mark style thing.
Oh,
Ability on enemy. They will take, I don't know, let's say 20% extra damage
yeah.
from
It's
allies.
force stalking. it's what it is.
Bruh.
They will take an additional chunk of damage at the end based on how much damage your allies have done.
Conjure some TIE fighters, they fly over their heads and fly some attacks. Bro, TIE fighters, they never hit their shots, so doesn't
Meow.
matter.
True. Rather get some X-wings.
Okay, I mean that's straightforward, but I like the idea, and that it's kind of it's the ability that's literally the stronger, the more coordinated you are, and presumably, maybe if we had like a little delay at the start, so the enemy team can make a decision as to what they want to do. Like, do they want to retreat that person out of the fight entirely, or do they want to risk them getting exploited by a coordinated attack?
Yeah. Neria, the general. I kind of like the idea of saying, I will just pick a character to make fights more core. It also does mean that this is a character that you can pick for when you have difficult to execute comps. So where it's like, oh yeah, this kind of works, but it's it's difficult to coordinate. It's like the wombo combo, but can we pull it off? With Neri, you can just pick Neri and say, with Neri, you can't pull it off.
Yeah. I also don't mind the idea at all of repurposing someone else's abilities in a different context.
Guys, read this.
Oh, I love it. I love
Stay
it.
on
a lot.
target.
Oh,
Stay... Boom.
Oh, yes. That's
Yeah,
a great
ultimate name.
ability name as well.
Ability name. Yeah. Make an ability name. Stay on target.
I
Absolutely.
think every one of these needs to be a command. So maybe the drone is "Be my eyes" or something. I don't know, just some sort of command.
Be my eyes.
Be my eyes, be my eyes.
It can be something else. Relay message or
Don't kill the messenger.
don't kill the
Let-
message.
Lend me your arms.
Lend me
I
your
don't know.
arms.
It doesn't quite work. So
Give
it's
me a
like-
gun, soldier!
hard to
Say
get across
hello
the
to my
idea of-
little friend.
I think we already did that one for Sheepy.
True.
we could always just
true.
put it. You need assistance, I guess. I don't
You
know.
need
just-
assistance.
unless someone can think of a better.
Calling in air support?
Oh, air support. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think air support is probably at least briefer. Goran wants the Star Destroyer to come out of the ground and presumably as a giant golf ball kind of coming out of the ground, knocking everybody over and
Nice.
throwing TIE fighters everywhere. You were doing so well, Goran play. All
Yeah.
the way up until the end.
You know what? If you can find a 3D modeler and a 3D animation modeler who will do that for us, fine. You can. You know what? That's completely canon. If you can
you're an
find
Age of
somebody who does
Empires-
that, fine.
If you're an Age of Empires player, you can be like, you have the whole thing of they would have you can build like the superstructure, but if the enemy doesn't kill it, they just lose. So, I think that's what Goran's getting at there. You plant a Death Star in the ground, and if they don't
Yeah.
kill the Death Star in like 20 minutes or something in the
Is
game,
fully
you just
operational
lose.
weapons station.
Actually, okay, this is for another day, but that
Yeah.
could be a thing that you create an objective, and then at 20 minutes it comes out the ground and just murders everybody on the opposing team.
It's
Brilliant.
it's something I always kind of liked in I don't remember which map it is, but there is something in Heroes of the Storm. I think it's a pirate ship that you have to cap. Basically, what
Yes.
will happen is if you fight over like coins and pirate ships, and you can still destroy each other's base in a regular fashion. But if you gather enough coins, and if you have all the coins, what will happen is you'll have a neutral objective on the map that will literally fire a whole lot of damage at your structures, and it will
That's a
start
lot
from
of damage.
it will start
It's
from
a
the
lot
most
of damage.
outwards to eventually hitting your nexus. It's something we can
I thought it was a
explore
really
and
good
potentially.
mechanic.
Yeah, it's a really cool mechanic because it also means you're fighting for the regular game, but you're also fighting for this objective, and it does it in waves. So it's not like, oh, you cap it and all of a sudden you just win a game. No, it's like, okay, it helps you a lot, but it's not game winning on its own.
I think we've got a taste of that with the hold your ground
Yeah.
being capturable. Like, you're sort of setting your team up with a bonus resources to use. Like, it could have easily been that she had a deployable turret that people could fire or something, and that you could potentially be overrun and still function as a general. But I think we're at a pretty okay place.
Yeah.
She's opening a portal to the Star Wars universe. If the portal is not closed, the super weapon will launch an attack on enemies. I mean, that's just the same thing becoming from a portal rather than the ground, really, isn't it?
Then we rename it to Break the Fourth Wall. that's the new name of the ultimate in that case.
Yes, it accesses your Windows settings and turns your monitor off.
Nice.
it turns off your.
And you have to go around and change the fuse on your house to get back into the game.
Every time you right click as an AD carry, you get a little zap. Like it's not harmful. It's just annoying.
Oh my gosh, yes. Let's murder our players. Let's do it. Don't commit off, burn the house down. Alright, I think we've gotten to the end there now that we've gotten this. Can we take a look? Because I'm admiring the fact we've got some great icons in here today. Could we? Would you mind taking us through these icons, Roger?
So, this is the queue, right?
So orders.
So
from
very
the
basic
general.
with the bars.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the W, right? And I made a little mini Death Star, like the little pix that hangs onto
Aw.
allies. It's a little mini Death Star.
That's very kawaii.
Hold your ground.
I like it. Very ABBA.
I like it, yeah. Very ABBA.
Stay on target. And then
Yeah.
have the passive with a Force Ghost.
Nice. I think that's actually a pretty good character. Nice. I genuinely might actually try and bug Feral Pony to look at this one because I think this has actually got some cool ideas.
I
Maybe-
kind of wonder.
Mhm.
This is a promise to the stream if we're capable of doing this. But I would
Okay.
love to have Feral Pony like come back at the end of the season and say, look,
Yes, and just like
I
you
took-
know, do like
I
what
took a
is
look at
up.
the champions. This is the one I like the most. This is the one I like the least. I think
This
like
is
him...
what. This is the one you fucked up the least.
Yeah.
Like,
No, but
thanks.
seriously, I would love that. Like an episode. This is a pitch on stream, but an episode where we can say, Feral Pony, okay, what did you do with all the info I gave you? And he just says, this was my most favorite character from the series. This was the least favorite character from the series.
Well, this
Like
is a
we
good
let a
aside-
professional rate our characters.
I mean, we did that already, and it went relatively well.
Yeah.
All things considered. I think so. This brings up the next topic for everyone who's watching at this point, which is we'd like to try and make this stream as good as it can be, but we're very aware that we've only got a limited amount of time to do that in each week. So with that in mind, what we're going to try going forwards is we're going to switch from a weekly streaming schedule to a bi-weekly streaming schedule, where we'll be spending the off week in developing out the stream to have more kind of components and more functionality, more different ways, basically just making it better, in short. And
Yeah.
also, as part of that, we'll be doing the infographics explaining the champion abilities and things in a very sort of concise way, so that if we do have Feral Pony back in, they don't have to watch like 12 hours of content to be able to comment on all of our champions. They can just look at the infographic and say, could you know, they might need to us to explain a bit
Ooh.
more, but we've got it there for them.
Okay, I've got an idea, but I'm gonna tell it to you guys off stream.
Okay.
Because I think, but yeah, this is also a question to. I mean, I know we don't have the biggest of audience, but we do have a lovely, loyal, and I think really creative audience. What would you guys like to see? Seriously,
That's
what
true.
would you
Good
think?
question.
What would you guys like to see? What are your ideas to make the stream more enjoyable for you guys? If you, for example, said, hey, we kind of want, this is something you could do, this is something you could do, join the Discord, put it in the Discord, or just put it in chat.
Follow
Here
us
we
on
do.
Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter. Shameless self-promotion all the way. Just
Hire us.
hire us. No, but seriously, if there are ideas and they're feasible to implement, we will definitely try. If it's an idea where it's, oh yeah, what if you make the champion within the League client and then make it available? It's like, yeah, that's
Bruh.
cool, but that's not gonna happen. I think with all the money in the world, we cannot make that happen. Seriously.
If you got the connections, sure, we can try, right?
We
Like,
can try, but if it's, for
Yeah.
example, a dude, like, okay, we want to have voice lines all the time or something on those ones, that, yeah, sure.
Yes, I think in this case, I feel like this is more of a mechanical champion than necessarily a terrifically strong personality champion. Like, I could see that someone could come in and add on a layer of distinct personality to this character. Like, you know, I imagine that's very much the case in Brat. They'll have a bunch of characters, but like, here's a bunch of mechanics that kind of work together. Now flavor them in a way which gives them
spice
more.
it up.
Yeah.
No, exactly. It's very much like spicing up the character, making them more. Like, it's right now, this is a fairly generic general, but you could imagine that if you wanted to make, oh, this general's like super vicious or something, you could reflavor the abilities and maybe add a couple of effects in to help illustrate that idea more.
You could make her sadistic almost to a certain point,
Yeah.
where she's actually enjoying the fact that certain people are getting harmed in battle, or the opposite, where it's somebody who's literally, where it's like, oh yeah, I am a good commander, but I don't like to hurt people, and that's impairing me.
You know
as a
what? Who
personality.
she reminds me of a little bit, especially like, with the golden accents and like the strong female leader. The senator from Arcane.
Yeah.
They could be
Actually-
like study best friends or something, right? Like from
Yeah,
high
yeah.
school days or something.
What's her name again? And
Sister from another mister, you know,
the
something
sister.
like that.
What's her name again in Arcane?
I
I'm
forgot,
not
but
very
she's
good at remembering characters'
beautiful. I
names from
completely
Arcane.
sim for her.
He does look amazing.
She does look
Yes.
really well. Like this is something that's like, okay, cool. This is. Can you zoom out a little bit, Roger? Because I kind of want to see the entirety again of the champion art. Because this is a champion with the art style, and you say,
Arcane.
okay, you say arcane, but you say based off of Princess Leia, but not necessarily in the Star Wars universe. First, you immediately have drafted the personality with the character here as well, and that's
Yeah.
really cool. That's difficult to
I
do
think
as well.
if the maroon was more of a red, she could easily be a Noxian General.
Oh yeah, like add a little bit of black in there, and then some others look like the Noxus stripes or whatever. Yeah, you could definitely see it as being a Noxus
Alright.
character.
I'm aware we're getting close to 1 hour and 15 minutes, so I guess starting with you, Roger, this time around for a bit of variety. Would you like to tell the folks watching about anything which you're involved with that might be coming up soon, or right now even?
Just the regular shenanigans stream that I have weekly. Like tomorrow, I
when is
have
that?
my own like Twitch site, right? Nothing big, just the shenanigans with Valorant and stuff like that. And on Thursday, I'm gonna try to spice it up a bit and try myself with some other games, like solo games, maybe Subnautica, maybe Doom, just something that will completely ruin my brain and give me heart attacks left and right, but it will create amazing content for people to watch and laugh about me. So that's why I do it.
Oh, Goran Play, thank you for telling us her name. Yeah, I don't think her name came up very much. 'Cause-
Mal
Mal
Medardo.
Medarda, yeah, that's the one.
Even
Yeah, but I
sounds
think-
beautiful.
I think I remember Jay saying Mel quite a lot. but
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
the characters called her by name very often. Okay, so Roger, if people want to see your stream, they head to twitch.tv/RogerRoger. What time tomorrow and Thursday?
It's always around 7:45 to 8 p.m.
Okay,
So,
so
yeah.
Tuesday.
But
And
also,
Thursday.
always lasts until at least midnight, 1 a.m. So, no rush.
Okay, I'll put the link into the chat if people want to follow that up.
Thank you very
Exodus,
much.
How about you?
Still on the job hunt. So, if you need a freelancer, if you have a full-time job offer, please feel free as a resume. I do once again say that I did. I do have my own charity with over 100 people involved. Charity event every year. If it's 2 years in a row, you can call it yearly. But in all seriousness, I'm still on the job hunt. If there are any offers out there, please feel free. I'm mostly looking towards content creation or something along the lines of maybe even sales. Besides that, I'm nothing else to shout out.
All right, cool. Let me just get the link in the chat then to Roger's stream. But yeah, from my end of things, I'm running my TFT tournament this coming Saturday, which should be a lot of fun. Just had our 30th anniversary tournament. It feels like I guess it was just like over a week ago. No, a couple of weeks ago. I know, I've been doing the tournament
Nice.
for a long time. It's I guess the point of the exercise. So it'll be tournament number 31. That's a casual competition where the prizes are mostly given out for participation. So if you do like TFT, who are intimidated from trying regular competitions because you don't think you're going to win, and most competitions have only prizes for the winners, then this is a good as chance of any to come and try it out.
Didn't you do Big Balls TFT cast?
Yeah, you
yeah.
did.
Very recently, Pete. You can shout that
I
out.
did. I suppose
Huh.
so. If you go across to twitch.tv/teamfighttactics and look at the most recent video, you'll see my face in it. Because
there
yes,
you
I
go.
was there for the Super Brawl UK, Ireland, and Nordics qualifier, along with a couple of other fantastic casters. We had a grand old time. We got to shout a lot and fling things around. It was great. So definitely
Nice.
recommend. That's the TFT tournament in the chat right now. But I think that takes us to an end here. So do we
Yeah.
have anyone we can chuck our lucky few across to? Any raids in mind? If anyone's got any suggestions, feel more than free to drop them in the chat.
I'm looking at people. This person doesn't need it. This person is fine without small raids. Don't really have anybody.
I have nothing that is League of Legends connected, so
Okay, I've got someone playing League of Legends, so I can't remember. I don't know if I know them very well, but they are someone I'm following, so let's give them a try. This is Ailbus, who is... I don't know anything about them, unfortunately, I can't remember. But they at least are playing League of Legends, so if you do have time to hang out there and let them... Oh, no, that wasn't the right way of doing the raid command.
We always have trouble with the raid command. It's always
Somehow.
it never works for us.
No, it's a
Counterfeit
cursed
really has to
command
practice that. He really has.
I'm the worst at doing Twitch commands. So, again, bear in mind, we will not be back next week because we're going to take some time to plan out new and exciting stuff for the stream coming up. We will be back the week after. If you want to get notified, please put yourself on our Discord server and choose the role from the roles section. We don't want to just be pinging everybody. But any people who want to know about the streams, if you go into roles, streams, pings channel, you can grab yourself a role there, which will mean we'll ping you each time we go live. But now though, let's go check out Ailbus, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time.